Hey everyone, it's me Hallease, endeavoring to persevere as always. If you're new here, I make videos documenting my chaotic good life. Subscribe, follow, social media, blah blah blah. Anyway, I reached out to y'all on Instagram and in the community tab here on YouTube to send me your lock questions, and y'all came in clutch with a lot of the lock questions. Wow. Alright, so first things first, I define myself as semi-freeform. There's a lot of ways you can define your lock journey, if you even want to define it. You could not. That's a thing you could do too. But for the sake of helping people find me on YouTube or on Instagram or whatever, I call myself semi-freeform. And the reason why I do that is because I have not retwisted, re-interlocked my hair since year one. Once I felt like my locks were pretty much formed and cohesive, I stopped doing traditional maintenance. So I stopped palm rolling, retwisting, interlocking after year one. I don't retwist. So a lot of you asking how often do you retwist? The answer is I don't. The way I maintain my locks, if you will, is just by separating them. So, popping and separating, and that's pretty much it. I don't really do much else. Every now and then in my front, if I'll notice that, like this one, I usually have this huge tuft that just hangs out over here. I'll kind of wrap it around, and then that's it. Like, I'm very low maintenance with my locks. Oh my God, I'm still counting. All right, 124. I have 124 locks. And that's counting the ones that have merged. So, for example, this, even though there's two here, they are merged. So this is one lock for me. Another question that I get a lot is my regimen. How often am I shampooing my hair and whatnot and things like that? And that really hasn't changed. Like throughout my entire journey, that has not changed. I shampoo my locks generally about twice a week. And in every session, I always shampoo twice. So the first shampooing sort of lifts the dirt, and then the second shampoo removes it out. I use Head and Shoulders because I have allergies, and in Texas there's a lot of just stuff in the air and whatnot, and so with Head and Shoulders I'm making sure that my scalp is getting really clean. I don't dilute it. Come for me in the comments if you want, but I don't dilute the Head and Shoulders or anything like that. And then to moisturize, when I get out of the shower, I usually use just aloe vera gel on my scalp to moisturize my scalp. And then to moisturize the shafts of my locks, I'll use Alakid Naturals lemongrass leave-in conditioner. I've been using it on and off for years. It's a good conditioner. Again, I don't dilute it at all. Sometimes I'll just spray it in my hand and then rub it through my locks. Sometimes I'll spray it directly on my locks. And then finally, if I feel like I need to, I'll put a little bit of oil, but usually it's from the halfway down. Like, I don't put any oils on my scalp. I know a lot of people swear by doing that. But again, it just messes with my scalp. It breaks it out, all sorts of stuff. I'm generally an oily person, so I have found that I don't need a lot of oil. And I tend to just focus it on the bottoms of my hair. And the type of oils I use, honestly, at this point, I mostly just use olive oil, just because no matter where I'm at, most people have olive oil in their kitchen. So that's why I use olive oil. For me, that's the whole point of having locks, is to not think about my hair as much. There's other things I want to think about besides hair, So let's get into these questions. I'm gonna do the community tab, folks, first, because YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So this is actually a good one. Do you ever feel tempted to dye your locks? And that's a few of y'all asked me this on Instagram too. Are you gonna dye your locks? Do you ever feel tempted to dye them? This person specifically was asking, do I ever feel tempted to dye my locks to kind of hide that, as you keep having locks, you get sun exposure, and so they kind of start to get a little lighter towards the ends and stuff like that. No. Don't really care about that. Again, for me, it's about not having to think about my hair too much, and having, your hair kind of change color throughout the process is part of the process. So I have no intentions of dyeing my hair anytime soon, whether for, fun or for to hide things No. Do I ever avoid different types of like cloth products and things like that? Basically, how are all the ways I avoid lint? And the answer is I don't. Again, I don't think about my hair as much as y'all, but I don't really actively think about avoiding lint or anything like that. I haven't like not bought a specific shirt or anything like that just because I was scared that there would get lint in my locks. I'm just not thinking about it, fam. It's just not on my mind. I have noticed that sometimes there are little pieces of lint in my locks, and then I usually just brush them and it goes away. Or just like pick it out and it goes away. But I feel like if you're gonna have locks, you kind of gotta just roll with it a little bit and like minimizing lint. I mean, there's things you can do. Obviously, you can sleep on a satin pillowcase, things like that, but it is what it is, you know? Another question I got asked was if I ever had children, would I let them lock their hair? And yeah, sure. I don't see why not. I mean, it's their form of self-expression, you know, so. Have you noticed any differences in how society perceives you with locks compared to before locks, specifically in business? No. If people have felt a certain way about my hair, they didn't say anything or they didn't show it. You know, my philosophy with that sort of thing of just like, have you noticed a different perception or do people say things or whatever? It's just like, other people's opinion of me is not my business. It's never hindered me from getting work, and if it has, then I wouldn't want to work with you anyway. Like if something about my physical appearance puts you off that much, then I shouldn't be working with you anyway, right? I don't know. I will say that, you know, if I'm in a sort of professional setting, maybe I'm on set or something like that, I do tend to put my hair up. Just to keep it out of my face, and you know, because for me that just feels more professional than just having it down. I'll usually do one of my roll tuck and pin styles and have it just up, and that's it. But you know, I've had locks working in the corporate sector. You know, I will say that, you know, currently what I do, I'm a full-time artist, creative, whatever you want to call me, digital storyteller, filmmaker, all the words. And so I think coming into a creative field like this, you get a little more leeway, I will say, professionally. You know, I feel like a lot of people in my industry have a lot of tattoos or body piercings and this crazy hair, you know, colors and all sorts of stuff, and you kind of can get away with that a little bit more because it's understood that you're an artist and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you know, before I started my production company, I was working full-time for a video agency and doing things, you know, producing content with CEOs of big tech companies and whatnot. So a very corporate setting, and yet, you know, here I was with my locks and whatever. But, you know, the work spoke for itself. It didn't really matter. The big thing, again, was that for me, I just felt better just putting it up. So I just made sure that it was up and out of my face, and that's kind of it. You know, you're already black, so it's just like, you know, people are gonna feel how they want to feel about you. You're already black. As your locks get longer and thicker, do they put more weight on your edges? If so, how do you ensure your edges stay intact? As my locks get thicker, do they put more weight on my edges? So I don't know, maybe. I've always, the edges of my front have always been super delicate and need extra love. And even with my first set of locks, which were very manicured, my front would always just not grow into the lock, and it like always felt like I had to maintain and all that kind of stuff. So coming from the first set to this set, I've just kind of let my front edges do what they do. I can't really say that I've noticed that as my locks get longer, my edges get like worse or something. They just are always, my edges just really don't care. You know, I'll see if I can find it, but there's a picture of me when I was like 4, you know, with my little French braids, amen. And I still got willy wisps. Like that's just something that my hair is. It just, the front always is will wisps, you know what I'm saying? So I've just learned, again, I think with having locks, it's, at least for me, a lot of my lock journey is about just acceptance, you know, accepting my hair for what it is, accepting my body for what it is, and that sort of thing. So I've been natural all my life. I cut my hair 4 years ago. They grew back healthy, but now it's kind of difficult to handle them. As a college student, I don't have much time, so I was thinking about having locks instead. So what kind of advice would you give to a beginner? Is it necessary to cut them to have semi-freeform locks? Are locked hair easier to manipulate than normal one? Do they need less care, time, products? What kind of different styles can I make with them? Thanks. That's a lot of questions that I feel can be answered by just watching more YouTube videos on locks. But I would say, you know, the main thing is just go for it. You know what I'm saying? There's no advice I can really give to a beginner, because every journey is a little bit different. You just need to be comfortable, whether you decide to have more manicured locks or freeform, semi-freeform, somewhere in between. You just need to be comfortable in yourself. The first year, your hair will transform a lot, really, like consistently a lot, and you're gonna look a little weird. You know what I'm saying? If y'all go back and watch my videos for the monthly updates for the first year, you know, I go back and I look at my videos sometimes, I'm like, dang, I look busted. But at the moment, I was so into it and I was so into the process that it didn't even dawn on me that I looked, you know, unkempt, if you will. It just didn't dawn on me to even think of myself that way, because I was just in it and going through it, and I was just fascinated by it, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that is because I had locks before, and so I kind of knew what I was getting into starting another set, and I knew the stages, you know. I wouldn't say I know a lot of people call it the ugly stage. I don't know about that. I don't think it's ugly. I think it's just a process, and you're in the thick of the process during that time. But yeah, looking back on those videos and seeing myself, like, oh dang, sprigs just here, there, and everywhere, you know? It's good times, good times. How can I lock down a focused dime piece like yourself? I think you need to work on yourself first. You know what I'm saying? I think you need to make sure that you are a complete and total human being and can actually offer a woman something that is worth being offered, you know? I found that when I focused on myself and made myself the best version of myself, that was how I ended up meeting an amazing man. So that's my advice on that. Have you always had locks? If not, what made you decide to transition? I have not always had locks, new person. I had my first set of locks 2008 to 2012, roughly. Then I combed them out. That was a whole situation, and I became a loose natural, and then I was a loose natural up until 2017, and that is when I started this set. In between there, I shaved my head all off. That was really fun. Check that video out if you want. Hallease Big Chop, you'll find it. I'm really grateful that I did the loose natural thing so I could actually learn about my hair, because I went straight from permed processed hair to locks, and this was right around the time when, you know, the natural hair movement, if you will, was kind of getting kicked off here on YouTube. And so I really didn't know a lot about my natural hair at all. And that was what made me want to comb my hair out so I could actually see what I was doing and figure out just like what my hair likes, what my hair doesn't like, and all of that. And if you go back in my videos, you can see as a loose natural, I experimented. There was a point, you know, I think eventually just going through the loose natural journey, it brought me back to locks in a very organic way. Because at one point I was just doing like daily wash and goes, and like legit wash and goes. Like I would just wash my hair and go and have a fro. Like I've always just been trying to figure out a way to care for my hair, but not focus so much on the aesthetics of my hair. Eventually I just got sick of it and shaved my head, and then I just had this realization of, oh, when I see myself in my mind, like my sense of self, I have locks. But it took me shaving my head to know that, you know? So it's a whole, you know, Black women in hair, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing that we just learn to go through, and you know, you lose yourself, you find yourself again. It's a whole journey, you know. Not to make it too deep, but I think for us it is kind of deep because of just the struggle of it all, you know. How do you feel as a black woman with locks navigating through your world? I attended an HBCU and originally had freeform locks that were deemed unprofessional for my major, which was broadcast journalism. Yeah. So I keep them maintained now, but I would love to be more free like yours. I love all the work you and Evelyn do. Thank you. And then she goes on to compliment me even more. Thank you. So that's interesting. I mean, I definitely understand where they came from with saying that with broadcast journalism, you need to look a certain way or whatever. But it's also, my counterpoint to that is, well, how will things change and hair textures or hair types be more accepted if you don't have people that are willing to break outside of that assumption? Like, who made that rule, you know? Who made that rule that a broadcast journalist can't have locks? At the same time, I know it can be hard. Everyone wants to be liked, myself included. I've definitely come to learn that people don't necessarily need to like you. They just need to respect you. That's all they really need to do. Something I will say though is that if I ever did get more into narrative acting, because, you know, right now I host a show, and with that it's more, you're just a variation of your true self, right? But if I ever got into acting, you know, narrative work, filmmaking, that sort of thing, I would probably shave my head again, because I feel like as an actor you need to physically take on sort of as blank of a slate as you can, so that way you can embody whatever character you need to embody. And so I feel like locks are a statement, and so that does, I feel like, you know, if you're an actor, that's going to clash with what you're actually trying to do, which is not necessarily live in your own authenticity, but live in a character's authenticity. And a character may not have a strong sense of self and have locks, you know what I'm saying? They might be working through something. So if I were to become an actor and be more serious about it, like truly that would be like a career shift, I would probably shave my head and just be bald head so I can embody more characters. What's your favorite thing about your locks? That's a good question. It's actually hard to narrow it down to one. I just love them, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like so much about, and that actually relates to another question, which is, what was the biggest challenge with having these locks? So it's like, what do you love about them? What do you hate about them? I don't really hate anything about my locks. I get mildly annoyed about the whole ends getting frayed thing, but I know that's just because for a little while I interlocked them in the beginning, and I think it's best to, my hair works best when I leave it alone. So even with the few times I did interlock, I'm seeing now 2.5 years, 3 years in, that was not the best thing to do. There you go. I think the thing I love about them the most is that I don't have to really think about them. That's a good answer to that. The thing that I love about my locks the most is that I don't have to think about them. Ooh, here's a good one. Assumptions people have made about me for having locks. Yo, I am not from the Caribbean. I'm not from the Bahamas. I'm not from Jamaica. I'm not vegan. I never said I was, but some of y'all for real think I am, and I know it's because of the hair. I'm not vegan. I have no desire to become vegan. I eat meat. I'm not 100% natural. Nope. I'm all down for trying natural remedies, but if they do not work, then go to something more medicated. That is my philosophy on that. I'm not Rastafarian. I'm not, you know, because y'all be mad. Y'all be real mad. Y'all big mad when you figure out that I'm not these things. And I'm just like, I never said I was. You assumed that, not me. I feel like that's more or less everything. I hope this helps. If you have more questions, how do you have more, first of all? Leave them down below in the comments and I will get to them. I will answer you in the comments. Also check out this video because YouTube seems to think you'll like it. And finally check out this one, which is a playlist of all the videos that I have ever done about my hair for this particular lock set. And it shows the breakdown month by month of the first year of having this set, everything I did. So, and it's more, you know, it's authentic because it's in the moment. You know what I'm saying? It's in the moment. So check that out. I'm Hallease. I'll see you when I see you.